Hey everybody, video here for you today. It's been about a week. Ancient history's kind of taken a back seat to fun in the outdoors this week. Played a little golf down in California. The weather's been absolutely beautiful here, but I found a place in France to talk about. Let's go down to the Cosquer Caves. I think that's how it is pronounced, but it's on the southern coast of France and it's right down here. This cave was discovered in 1991 and it has some very, very ancient rock art in it. But what's unique about this place is the entrance is submerged, and they never would have found this if it wasn't for some great diving and exploratory efforts here. But this is the site where the entrance is, right underwater, right down here. A lot of this dark area you see on Google Earth here, this was all one big landmass before the end of the Ice Age. You could probably walk from the coast out to these what are now islands. All this land got submerged. I will leave a few links below. Here is one, but this place seems to have rock art coming from two different periods, one 20,000 years ago and one 30,000 years ago. There are handprints, sea life depicted, very interesting. It says in 1991, Henry Cosquer reported the art that he had discovered 6 years earlier in a cave some 37 meters under the sea between Marseilles and Cassis. It says a unique cave. Up until the last ice age, when the cave was inhabited, the level of the sea was 120 meters lower than it is today, and the shore lay several kilometers seaward of the current coastline. Climate warming was responsible for submerging it some 10,000 years ago, or maybe some catastrophic event from prehistory. But whatever caused the dramatic sea level rise 14,000, 12,000 years ago, here is a diagram of the Cosquer Cave and the entrance here, about 37, 36 meters below the surface of the sea here. So they were really lucky to find this place and this main cave area here. This is over 100 meters in diameter, including the still submerged section right there. But this is pretty fascinating, and they got in here and found some very, very ancient rock art. Here is a diver entering the Cosquer Cave, and it really makes you wonder how many other sites are submerged and maybe lost forever. But here is the gentleman, Mr. Cosquer himself. I think that's who that is right there, the one who found the site. You notice he is in the water right there, and this site they're kind of worried about. It's threatened because of mollusk and algae and other things. But here is some of the rock art they think is about 20,000 years old. Ibex, buffalo, horses depicted. This rock art, 20,000 years old, they have dated. And this is a great auk. I think that's what they call it, a penguin-like creature. But there are at least 3 of these penguin-like creatures depicted in the Cosquer Caves. Here's a diagram of the Cosquer Cave, and I should just say it singularly. There's only one main cave area in here, 100 meters in diameter. They have found 2 different sets of artwork. They think the animals, the hunting scenes, come from about 20,000 years ago. Then there's about 60 handprints in the cave, and they think this comes from about 30,000 years ago. Not sure exactly how the dating was done, but those are pretty fascinating. You see those in the American Southwest, and some of them are missing parts of the fingers, and they kind of theorize that maybe these were amputated or lost by these people. I don't know. That's just speculation, but that's pretty fascinating. Handprints, 30,000 years old. Now, I first read about the Cosquer Caves when I did this video in 2019 on the Lascaux Cave, France's amazing 15 to 17,000 year old artwork. And that was a pretty fascinating place to look into, and I kind of forgot about it then. Then I read this article fairly recently. It says, The Secret World of Underwater Archaeology, and it has a little bit on the Cosquer Caves. It says, when the French diving instructor Henry Cosquer discovered in 1985 the access to a flooded cave at a depth of 37 meters or 121 feet during a diving tour in the Mediterranean off the coast of Marseille, he didn't know that it concealed an archaeological sensation. He and his companions dived down to the entrance of the cave several times over the next few months, but it wasn't until 1991 that he managed to reach the main cave through a tunnel. It would later bear his name. The narrow stone cave space was completely dry, its walls covered with mysterious prehistoric paintings. The world's only underwater Stone Age cave. The archaeologists and scientists who later examined the cave found that the drawings were approximately 19,000 to 27,000 years old. The paintings mainly showed animals, seals, fishes, horses, bison, mountain goats, seabirds that were surprisingly lifelike. It's the only underwater Stone Age cave that is known to us to date, explains marine archaeologist Fritz Jurgens from the University of Kiel, who also dives to explore such caves. But here is a look at one of those Stone Age hand paintings. Just reading a little more, it says, towards the end of the Ice Age, this cave was about 11 kilometers or 7 miles off the coast in southern France, was used and painted by Stone Age people, but as the polar ice caps thawed, the sea level gradually rose, and the cave entrance was at some point deep underwater, yet the higher cave itself remained dry. That's how these 20,000-year-old very unique Stone Age cave paintings survived. They include a stenciled painting of a human hand and the only known Stone Age depiction of a penguin. But I guess they have made a replica of this cave on dry land where people can see it. And it says here, the prehistoric Cosquer Cave is now a protected area, open to only researchers. Here is one of the articles I will leave the link to below. This article came out at the beginning of the year. Danger on the Cosquer Cave to be investigated urgently at a depth of 37 meters. It says the Cosquer Cave is similar to those species which, barely discovered, are immediately classified as endangered. Every day we lose something, sums up Giovanni Pincone, who heads the National Center for Prehistory. The list of perils hanging over the decorated cave is unfortunately long, so I will leave this link below, but they are urgently investigating this place, and they think some of this rock art could be lost forever. But this article here gives a little map where this place is located, gives a little diagram of how this cave entrance was submerged, but it gives all sorts of reasons, including sea level rise and wastewater being discharged into the Mediterranean and all sorts of things here that are threatening this cave art. And once again, I will leave this link below. I just thought this was a pretty cool story to report on today. I've done a lot of videos on rock art, handprints, some of them missing digits. What's that all about? But just reading here, and it must have been a pretty fascinating day diving into this cave, coming up to that dry area and discovering this rock art. But it says, all over the world, humans have had a sense of fear and awe toward deep caves. In the stories of mythology, the hero leaves his familiar natural world and enters a subterranean realm of supernatural powers. One of the rare things on which all specialists agree is that prehistoric cave drawings have had a spiritual purpose. Few prehistoric people went into deep caves. Those who did touched the walls just as people do in sacred places today. For 20,000 years, French cave artists portrayed mostly animals with few human figures. And some of this dating came back to 30,000 years ago, the handprints. But there is a rare Stone Age depiction of a penguin-type creature. Here's a look inside the Cosquer Cave, the depiction of the horses and the bison on the cave walls here. The water, and I guess that water kind of fluctuate in levels. But they also have plenty of sea life depicted in here. And here's one depiction. Is this a flounder? Not quite sure. But this is certainly an interesting place in France, submerged by rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age. Here are a couple more handprints coming from this cave. The dating 27,000 or 30,000 years ago, depending on which article you read. But that's pretty interesting and pretty haunting if you ask me. But a lot of things are threatening this cave, including just time itself taking a toll on these ancient cave paintings. But that is my video on the Cosquer Caves and how did they light this place up to work in there? Did they just use fire? Well, I don't know. Anybody can leave their thoughts on that subject, but here is the area. Submerged, 37 meters down, just off the coast here. Very interesting place. Handprints echo back almost 30,000 years. Other art depictions, 20,000 years old of animals. That's a pretty cool place. Hope you thought that was interesting. You all have a very nice day.